With what they all had done to me, I lost my voice. Only tears streamed down from the corners of my eyes. After they left, I wrapped my clothes tightly around me and thought I would face my death anytime soon. Since then, I never looked at him the same way I looked at him before. The moment I realized it, the time I started never referring to him as my older stepbrother, nor mentioning Callum ever again. That was one of the reasons why every time I started hearing his name, I felt a bit bizarre, as I forgot I knew him. In the blink of an eye, when I came back to my senses, I happened to see Henry walking past while eating some pancakes. Soon after he noticed me halted from working, he grabbed the whip, ready to strike me once more. Before Henry could do such cruelty, he caught a glimpse of the servants from the Holden family mansion. He didn't proceed as he was astounded. Once Henry understood the reason behind their visit, he had no choice but to greet them respectfully. "Everyone, look, Vera is somewhat dirty and a bit messy. Wait for me to let the maid clean her up and then return with you," said Henry. With that, Henry pulled me back to the military camp and instructed someone to prepare hot water for me to bathe. As his gaze moved from my face, I sensed a hint of desire in his eyes. He approached me to undress, but I tried to avoid his hands from touching me. However, I was terrified seeing his cold gaze at me, which made me pause. With no other option, I allowed him to undress me. "Come on, you're just a washerwoman, yet you're still going to pretend noble and chaste? Are you just kidding me?" Henry mocked and smirked at me. "Since you're going back, then serve me one last time." I felt like a puppet, stuck in the military camp, letting them boss me around and do what they wanted, even if I didn't like it. I was furious and embarrassed, but I had no choice but to do what Henry asked. When the servants from the Holden mansion lifted me onto the carriage, I had already changed into a clean outfit. Still, it was barely enough to hide the scars on my body. Before I and the servants left, Henry grabbed my arm. He coldly reminded me, "Vera, you know what should and shouldn't be said. If General Smith finds out what we have done to you, wait to see what we can do. This is your warning." I had no choice but to nod. When we arrived at the Holden mansion, I hesitated to leave the carriage without the servants' reminders. As soon as Hazel Brown, a maid, saw me respect the servants of the Holden mansion, I couldn't help but sob. She handed me the mirror so I could see my face. "My lady, you must have endured so much in the past 3 years. How did you become like this?" The servant was worried while staring at the reflection of the mirror. I looked completely lifeless. My face had become so thin, I almost lost its flesh. Still, I tried to force a smile. No matter how joyfully I tried, my expression remained somewhat bitter. "General Smith is here," someone announced it as loud as they could, signaling Callum's approaching steps.